Listen up, guys. It's not nothing about nobody else right now. It's about us. It's our chance. It's our time. Do your part. Everybody play a part today. Last year was last year. This shit over. Make your own identity. Make something different.
Yeah, I'm about to step in the ring for the fight of my life. Hit my knees and I strap on my gloves. Boy, I've been.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. Thank you for joining us on Virginia Union's YouTube channel and also on the VUU Athletics website. Thanks for joining us here on this week's edition of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. I'm Sean Robertson. We got the coach, Alvin Parker, joining us today, and we got three very special guests in our Player Lounge segment, so we want you to stay tuned for that. Coach is dried off. I'm dried off. The players are dried off from last week's, I won't say a monsoon. It was just a heavy downpour at home, first home game, and then you have the weather, not cooperate for you guys against Fayetteville State.
A tropical storm. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah.
It definitely was that. I was a little disappointed in, the weather, but, because I wanted all our fans to come out because we hadn't been home the entire season. So, I wanted those, people to come out and kind of check everything out and get the game environment and everything that we kind of do. So, but surprisingly, people still came.
I was going to say, how many actually braved the, rough estimate of how many braved the elements to see that game in person?
I really didn't know the number, but I seen a lot of people in the stands, on the film, along with, our band, their band. So people were there, surprisingly, So, but, first time I think I've ever played or coached in a game like that. So
how bad was, seeing some clips of the game, it really looked bad but from field level, how bad was the conditions for you guys against Fayetteville?
The field did an excellent job.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely worth all the money that we spent on it. It did an excellent job.
Yeah.
Around everything was a little bit messy, but in terms of the way the field held up and what it did and the drainage and, the surface, it stayed perfect pretty much all night.
Mm-hmm.
It just was tough to, to play through the elements, but it's a contest, which means they played in the same conditions that we played in. So, but it was a little different.
Tough way to end that game. Fayetteville State's field goal kicker hits a short field goal with about a half a minute left in the game, something to that degree. They pull away with a 10-7 victory, hand you guys your first loss of the year. I know we're not going to talk about weather played, make an excuse that weather was the factor. Just an overall outlook of the game. How did you think it played out, given the elements and everything that took place?
I think it was kind of back and forth, and whenever we've played those guys, it's been pretty much back and forth. So and it was going to come down to who made the least amount of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of they got a chance for one field goal, we got a chance for one field goal. We got a big turnover that led to a touchdown. They got a big turnover that led to a touchdown. I think the difference was, although we moved the ball pretty good all night in the storm, we made a couple more mistakes than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes down to that. We put the ball on the ground 3 times, just can't happen. Two of them happened on our side of the field. 2 of them led to the 10 points. I think our defense played an excellent game. Anytime, you can hold anybody under 100 yards, total offense, and those guys have been doing that all season,
Mm-hmm.
playing lights out, and those guys did it again on Saturday. So, it was those type of factors that kind of came. And I think on a dry day, you can't turn the ball over 3 times and expect to win, but we were right there in the thick of things. And I think, that last drive really put us in when we turned it over and those guys scored and gave the ball back to us with about 6 seconds left. So
it was hard, especially hard to do in those weather conditions.
Absolutely. So,
what was the message you gave the team? I know it was the first conference loss. It's early. You still got a lot of time to make that up and still be in the championship picture in the CIAA. What was the message you gave the guys afterwards?
It was just kind of back to work, and I think all those guys were ready. We kind of took the lump on Saturday night, and I think all the coaches were struggling to go home. Everybody wanted to kind of find the ifs, wins, whys, how things kind of went. Mm-hmm. But everybody sent everybody home, and everybody come back on Sunday, refocus. Mm-hmm. So when we got to Sunday's meeting, everybody was eyes front, looking forward, and ready to be coached. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing that this group definitely has. They had that desire to be coached. You know, so they came back ready to go. They wanted to figure out what we did wrong, coach, so this won't happen again. So, you know, that's one thing I, you know, admire about this group.
I know you've said, another coach has said, when you go back and look at the film, it's not as good as it looked or good as it is. It's not as bad as what it seems. Where does that line from that game lean towards?
All losses are bad to me, you know. So it's a little different with that. But I seen some guys step up and play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I seen, you know, Isaac Anderson have a beast of a game. I seen Curtis Allen have a beast of a game. I seen a lot of the guys up front on the offensive line move people around. You know, I seen the same thing on the defensive line. So in terms of us wanting to be like a line of scrimmage type of team,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think, you know, one thing we did do on Saturday night on both sides of the ball was dominate the line of scrimmage. So, you know, I was impressed by that. You know, and again, nothing against those guys. Not you know, those guys are the champs. You know, and they came here and they found the way to win a football game.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point in the year, that's what you have to do. You know, no matter how much, a half a point, anything, you just got to find ways to win football games. You know, I'm going down the stretch. You know, and that's what it's going to be the next 6 games.
You mentioned a lot this year about the depth, and you mentioned Curtis, who had a big game, career game on Saturday in those elements. And it's not overstated, the depth of this program. You wanted to increase the numbers, that has shown. You wanted to increase the depth, O-line, and in the running back room, and that has shown so far in these first 4 games. The amount of depth and the drop off is not that significant when somebody else is in a starting role.
Oh, definitely. You're correct about that. I think in the 4 games that we played this year, we've had 3 different guys rush for over 100 plus yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that doesn't tell you anything about the depth we have. You know, I don't know what will. You know, so you know that's something that's a beautiful thing. But anytime you know you rely on a guy that's like an All-American for you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you know you look up and you see, you know, hey, it's been about 10 quarters he hadn't played for you,
Mm-hmm.
and these guys are still kind of doing everything we kind of ask them to do. It just shows what type of team we have. You know, so that's a big thing for us.
We got plenty more on this edition of the Coaches Show coming up in the Players Lounge. We got 3 players, 2 that played a significant role in the game that Coach was talking about against Fayetteville State. 1, cross your fingers, could see some action this weekend when the Panthers are back on the road to face St. Aug. I was going to say Shaw, but they play Shaw earlier, but play St. Aug. Is it back on their campus or
we're gonna play at Southeast Raleigh High School?
Okay, so we'll talk more about that with the 3 guys in our Players Lounge segment when the Alvin Parker Coaches Show continues right after this.
Styles you want, the brands you love, with the service you deserve. Better Menswear. From formal to casual wear, we carry quality men's clothing at sensible prices, where fashion and service meet affordability. That is Better Menswear.
We're back here on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. This is our Players Lounge segment, an opportunity to talk to some of the members of the Panthers football team. We got a full house here on the Players Lounge. We got reigning defensive lineman of the week, Isaac Anderson, joining us. We've got Curtis Allen, Prince George product, rushed for a career high 155 yards last week against Fayetteville State. And also, for the first time in the Players Lounge, we got Jada Byers. We know his stats. You know, CIAA, reigning CIAA Offensive Player of the Year, and Willie Lanier Award winner, joining us here in the Players Lounge. Guys, welcome to the Coaches Show. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you for having us.
All right. We're going to start with the 2 guys. Well, all y'all were dealing with the inclement weather on Saturday. We'll talk to Jada, save him for a little bit, get your status for this
Gotcha.
coming game. But for you 2 guys, what was like dealing with those elements, the sideways wind and rain, and it was just a mess out there on Saturday?
Yeah, it was a little rough out there, but not gonna lie, that type of weather we was playing a lot when I was a kid. Like, when
Oh,
I
it was
a
worse?
kid, yeah, when I was a kid, we was playing in this type of weather, and you feel me? That's where I really learned how to catch a football. Because if you catch a football while it's wet, there's no problem while it's dry.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in this game, I was already happy that it was raining. Because I said, oh, rain game.
Right.
They can't throw the ball for real. They have to run.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do great is stop the run. So
Well,
I
you
have
certainly
fun.
did
I
that.
have fun out there.
You certainly did that. What about you, Mr. Career High?
I ain't have fun. I ain't gonna lie. I don't like being cold at all. I'm not a cold person. I don't like being cold. So when the rain was coming down, it was hard to deal with. But I just had to really suck it up.
So you both had on your jackets,
Oh, no
oversized
jacket.
jackets.
No jacket.
Not on the sideline even during the rain? Yo,
Nah. Underneath the tent. I was underneath the tent a lot. When I was on the side, I definitely was underneath the tent. I had to be. It was getting crazy out there.
what was working for you Saturday despite those conditions? 155 on the ground against a pretty good Broncos rush defense. What was working for you in that game?
I want to say I was just running hard, and I had great linemen to block for me.
Mm-hmm. And Isaac, defensively, Coach mentioned you guys limited Fayetteville to under 100 yards of total offense. Obviously, they were going to be one-dimensional because of the wind and the rain and everything like that. So was it basically you're keying – what are you keying in that situation when you know basically they're going to try to run the football on you guys?
Just really watching your keys. Like your key, like the guard or whoever I was lined up on, he gonna tell me what they're trying to do. If his hand in the dirt, if his hand's really in the dirt, he's gonna try to fire off. If it's light and the back end pistol, probably outside zone. You know, it was just reading your, pre-snap alignment keys, and then everything just started coming fast. Yes, sir.
And what was the mood like afterwards? You dealt with your first loss of the year. It's not eliminating you guys out of any championship race, but what was the talk amongst the guys afterwards?
It was just how we gonna respond. How we gonna let this affect us? We're gonna respond as the team that we know we are. And now we see our errors. Now we see the mistakes we made, and we know if we don't make no mistakes and have a clean game, nobody could rock with us at all.
Like Curtis, you got your first start. The guy to your right, how much did he play a role, and how much did he help you in getting you ready for your first career start?
He played the biggest role. Him and Coach Ryland, they played the two biggest roles at helping me get prepared and getting ready for the game.
Jada, how did he look on Saturday?
155, that speaks a lot. Didn't he look? But no, he looked pretty good today. I tell him, all our running backs that's back there is just, hey, our motto is not to be a big hitter, run every time. Like I tell everybody, we just need 4 yards of pop, especially in that condition that they just played in and me standing out there. I tell him, hey, just put your head down, get what you get. 4 times 3, that's the first time every time.
There you go.
You got to work out, you can get it.
Now, I've asked Coach Parker for weeks about your status. You know, you've been out since the Shaw game. I know you've been chomping at the bit to get back on the field. He's saying, hey, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We want to save you, give you a chance to heal up to be 100% for the stretch run. How do you feel now? And will we be able to see you Saturday against St. Augustine?
Hey, like I tell myself every day, man, I'm just living a story that God wrote for me. And Coach Parker is a part of that story, and I tell everybody it's in God's hands. And right now I feel great. Hopefully I do get to play Saturday, and Coach Parker say, let's start this run now. Like he said, it's not a marathon. We're taking it day by day, and if we do, I'm ready to get back out there, be out there with my guys.
How antsy has these last 2 weeks been for you? You want to be out there with your guys, but again, you want to be 100% for that stretch run.
It's antsy for me because I'm not a kid that could just sit there whatever I'm doing. So I gotta always be moving. Even if I'm on the sideline, I gotta always keep my energy up high. And it's not just me not being out there. It's Coach Parker saving me from being who I need to be. If he know any coach, I don't know no coach that would not hold a player. If a player's not 100% mentally or physically, a coach won't let them play regardless. And that's why I respect Coach Parker so much, because he know if I'm not 100%, I'm not going to get the best you. It's a difference between 99% and 100%. And that's one thing he always preaches about. You can't play that extra 1%. I'm not going to use you.
Right.
I'm not going to let you be you. I want you to be you, the best you, when you can be on the field. And that's why I'm just here doing what I got to do.
Curtis, he's been like the extra running back coach for you?
Of course. He always helped me since when I first got here as a freshman. He helped me. He's been helping me with all the plays, my steps, my reads, everything.
How tight is that running back room? Because Coach had mentioned, very deep, 1 through, you probably can go maybe 4 or 5 different running backs. How closely knit is that running back room?
To me, that running back room is just full of brothers. Like, it's just full of brothers. We just came up with a saying, but like last week, we called the Yak Boys now, yards after carry. And everybody asks what that means, yards after catch. Nah, we running backs. We're going to get the yards after the carry. We touch the ball. And I feel as though any running back we put back there can get the job done, especially with the front 5 we have. I feel as though any running back can really rush for 150 yards plus against any team.
Feel the same way?
Yes. Also, I feel like as a group, we're good as a group because like we all bond together. We all got a strong bond, and Coach Riley makes sure that we got a strong bond. Like he take us out to eat sometime as a group, as a
Hooter Tuesdays, man. That's what you got to remember with Coach Riley.
And y'all just shoot the breeze. Is it more about stuff off the field when you guys get together, or I mean, obviously we'll talk about the previous game and what's on tap, but do you guys kind of like talk about each other, what y'all like and what you don't like, stuff like that?
he always says more to football than football. So if we talk about football stuff, we talk about off the field stuff too.
That's a great way he just said it though. That's one thing about Coach Riley. He preaches that it's bigger than football. And one thing about us, we learn everything from that man that's in the room with us. Sometimes we might just talk about all football, and then we might go to different subjects on how to become a man and talk about what we need to do financially, what make us life better, and just make sure we become the best man we can when we lead this program.
Hey, before we let you go, Isaac, I want to get your thoughts about, practicing against these guys on a daily basis. How does that make you better as a defender? And I guess on the flip side, making those guys a little bit better because they're going to see a top-ranked defense every day at practice.
I'd say it's great to compete against them every day, and it's like I just know that I gotta get them before they touch that ball. So as soon as they get that handoff, I gotta make sure I'm back there. Cause if it's a 5-yard splits, 10 yards to go side to side, it's some shifty backs. So I gotta make sure I'm on my A game and make sure I can wrap them up. But it's great. Like the competition is just amazing on that field, and the energy be high. You have the defense chanting like it's the last second. You got the offense chanting. It's a great atmosphere to be in.
Well, we guys appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. Congratulations on being named Defensive Lineman of the Week in the CIAA.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your career performance, and we hope to see you Saturday against St. Augustine.
Yep.
All right, guys. We got one more segment on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. We'll have the coach back to talk about that game against the Falcons right after this. Segment of the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. Coach Parker joining us here for our last segment. All right, we heard from Jada. He really wants to play. If he had his answer, he will play on Saturday against St. Augustine. Now, from the coach's perspective, will we see the reigning offensive player of the year in the conference on Saturday?
We'll see. I mean, I expect him to play.
Okay.
I expect him to play. He's progressing extremely well, so had a good practice today, so surprised me a little bit that, how far ahead he was. So I expect to see him on Saturday.
Was that the biggest thing you wanted to see, how he moved in practice against contact, or what from your perspective, being a former running back, what did you want to see from him in practice to set he's ready to go? That's the Jade I remember.
I think just, being a running back, being a former running back, I just want to see, the total package of everything. I'm just not the type to say, going out there, because of who you are and do this and do that. I wanted to make sure the full package was there and ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And he's shown us that he can do it. Like I said, good week of practice. He had a good week of practice last week. I just wasn't all the way there yet. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just kind of the, with the room doing what they're doing, wasn't, like I said, wasn't a need to rush it. But I can't slow down his progression because it's going great. So, if all things go well like they went today, he'll be playing Saturday.
And I guess that was the biggest thing that made the decision, I guess, a little bit easier, was the fact that the guys who has filled in for him have produced considerably for you guys to be in the position that you are.
Yeah, I mean, that, like I said, that room has been performing well. But I think, more so over that room has been performing well because, the offensive line has been performing well. Quarterbacks has been doing a great job of managing the game. We got an explosive group of receivers who people have yet to see. I think those guys played well. And Morehouse had some big plays in the Shaw game. But the next two games we kind of, had to rely, so heavily on the run because of the weather and just what we could do. But we have an explosive group back there too. So, I think, it's down the stretch, people get to see everything we have to offer.
I guess that's the scary thing about this team is the fact that maybe you probably haven't played your perfect game yet, and still in that position to be in the mix. You're 3-1, you're still nationally ranked, and yet you probably feel you haven't played your best ball yet.
I feel that way exactly. I feel like, we still got a little bit of room for improvement, and these guys want to be coached. So, that's the portion that I love about it also. They still want to be coached. And I think, at this point in the season, of course, after 4 games, we wanted to be 4-0. We're a small bit short of that, maybe 2 to 3 plays short of being 4-0, like our, intended goals were to be 4-0. So, but we got, still got a lot of goals to get this year. So, I think, we keep playing like we playing and get a little bit better in a few more areas,
right,
and start to show that, we're going to be where I want to be.
Well, you got your last non-divisional game this week. You got St. Augustine again on the road, 4 out of the first 5 on the road. What stands out about this Falcons team despite their 0-4 record?
I think, they're a new ball club. They play hard. They've shown ability to run with some of the people that people would consider the big dogs in the conference. So, and Coach Fagans is new down there, so he's been in big games. Some of the other places he's been in. We go way, way back, to our time before he was at St. Aug. So, I know he's a great coach, and, I know he's down there working hard to get those guys in position. So, we just see the next team. We don't see the record or anything like that. I think it was hard to kind of coach those guys on that at first, because sometimes, with us living in the era we live in with social media and everything else, it's tough not to pay attention to people's numbers and everything else. But, I just think you go out there and play whoever's next on the schedule.
And I think you don't probably have to worry about the fact that they're going to play down to the competition because they are 0-4. They've struggled most of this year. It's like, maybe we can take a little bit off. But given the outcome of Fayetteville and the fact that, division play is next week, you saying, hey, no, this should be, I guess, an easy motivational week for you to get these guys ready?
It really hasn't been like any other week for us, Sean.
Okay.
I think those guys do an excellent job of practicing hard and kind of going through what we need them to go through. We had an excellent practice today. Like I say, I tell these guys we're putting checks in the boxes. So those guys did that in an excellent way today. We got, a meeting, a little later this evening. So, we want to make sure everything is done. I can tell those guys all the hay in the barn, so to speak, and kind of get ready to get on this bus and head on down to Raleigh.
Big one against the Falcons. Again, it's going to be at Southeast Raleigh High School in Raleigh. Kickoff 1 o'clock between the Falcons and the Panthers. And then the following week, divisional play will kick off. And I believe that's Elizabeth City, right? Your old stomping grounds there as well. And we'll talk about that next week on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. Thanks to Coach for joining us. As always, thanks to our players in the Players Lounge, Isaac, Curtis, and Jada. I'm Sean Robertson. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. I forgot, wait a minute, before we go, did you want to do a shout out? Because you told me the little story that you had. Do you want to do the shout out real quick before we head out?
My mama loved the show, so, hi, Mom. You gotta
give Mama a shout out because she's watching. Everybody going to be watching. So hopefully she is watching and everybody else is watching. Thanks for joining us this week on the Alvin Parker Coaches Show. We'll talk to you next week, same time on Virginia Union YouTube channel, as well as VUUathletics.com. See you next week.
It's like I was 7 and thing is I'm already covered in blood. Walking in love, this for the ones who've been stuck in the mud. Searching for hope. Trust me, I know what it feel like to drown in my problems, but God came and threw me the rope. Can't wait to look in his eyes. All of my life I've been battling lies. I found the truth and took off my disguise. Come for my head, I still live for the prize. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was in the city going down, trying to blow. Everything changed when I learned to let it go.